Hey everybody, welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. Let's see, today I want to talk to you a little bit about healthy fats and bad fats and what that looks like in our diets. I am a huge proponent of using fat in our diet and eating really good fats. Our bodies are so many aspects of our bodies require fat. Our brain is 60% fat, our cell membranes are fat, and just, most of us were raised in the generation of fat-free and low fat, and I believe a lot of people are coming out of that, but I don't know that everyone is. Just for Thanksgiving, we went to some friends' house, and we did a waffle bar, and they had the fat-free Ready Whip as one of the options, and I saw it and I just thought, really? Okay, we need to talk about fat. Because I know that not everyone has come off that low fat, no fat, fat-free train, and it's so important for our health. Like, all these cases of Alzheimer's and dementia and memory loss that are coming up, so much of that is actually related to the lack of healthy fats in your diet. So now I use the term healthy fat, and I think that is what I want to address today, like this idea of good fats and bad fats. I actually don't love classifying food as good and bad, just because of the emotional relationship that we have connected with food. However, today, I don't think I can get away with not using good and bad, because there really is food out there that's bad for you, but it's not really food. It's food-like substances. It's the food that is made up of mostly chemicals. And so that is the food that I would call bad. If we're talking about real whole foods made from scratch, there's no food that I believe should be categorized in the bad category. Sure, limited, absolutely. Restricted, not totally. But the food-like products, they don't belong. They don't belong in food. So anyway, I want to talk about good fats and bad fats and what that looks like. Because even honestly, when I got to thinking about good fats and bad fats, I realized how relaxed I've gotten in the fats that we eat in our family. And all the fats that I cook with are healthy and they're good, but not all the processed food that we bring into our house are good. And so I realized how relaxed I had gotten, and I thought, okay, we need to talk about this in our group. So when I talk about good fats and bad fats, when I talk about good fats, I'm talking about whole food based fats. And when I'm talking about bad fats, I'm really talking about vegetable oils and fats that have been processed to some extent, or they have been manipulated to some extent. So most people are aware that hydrogenated oils and partially hydrogenated oils are chemically processed, and they are bad for you. Well, really, they are chemically processed to the point where they're one particle away from being plastic. And so when you eat hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated fats or oils, you're virtually eating plastic, and it gets into your body, and your body is like, I don't know what this is, so I'm just going to stick it here because I don't know where else to put it. And that's where you get that donut ring of belly fat around your tummy, and a lot of that is the hydrogenated oils that your body just didn't know how to process. But most people are aware that you want to stay away from trans fats, which is the hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated oils. But even vegetable oils are highly processed. And when they're used in packaged and processed foods, they are processed to the point of rancidity. And so, for example, I was looking at a package of veggie straws today, and you all can't read that, but they use sunflower oil or organic safflower oil. And the thought is that, well, sunflower oil and safflower oil are organic and they come from a seed that has oil in it. But the trouble is when you're using highly refined nut and seed oils, then the processing for that is so harsh. So unlike olive oil, where they like squeeze the oil out of the olives and it's a cold press system, to get a refined sunflower or safflower or canola oil, they have to do a high heat process, which sends the oil into rancidity, which makes it stinky. And then they do a deodorizing process that pulls out the smell. And so what do you end up with? But you end up with a lightly colored, no scent or lightly scented oil that looks and appears like it's good, but it's already rancid because of the heat that they had to use to pull it out of the seed, because that oil wasn't supposed to be pulled out of the seed. There was not enough oil in the seed to be effective. Now, you do see like sunflower oil and safflower oil on the shelves at natural food stores. And if those are cold pressed or expeller pressed, then they are a decent option. And that's because they aren't going through that high heat and they aren't becoming rancid first. But any of these processed products that have even the organic oils in them, the organic seed or vegetable oils, they are so refined that they are toxic to your body. And that includes canola oil, which canola, if you ever want to go look, canola is not a plant. Canola comes from a rapeseed. So they renamed it canola because they thought, oh, I don't think most people are going to buy rape seeds. And it's the same thing. It is highly processed on high temperatures. Again, if you find an unrefined or cold pressed canola, it's going to be a better option. However, it's not a good option for frying because all of those oils are very delicate and they don't handle heat well. And so again, you can use them for salad dressing or something that's going to be cold. But if you're going to use it for something cold, I would highly recommend just using olive oil, because olives are actually fat-based. Like the oil is a big part of the olive versus the seed is not the same. So I hope that helps and gives you a little bit of science behind the unhealthy. When I say unhealthy fats, that's what I'm talking about. Now, honestly, if you were to eliminate like canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, vegetable oil, if you were to eliminate any of those, that would be awesome. Like, I think that would be great. Realistically, my goal in my family is to pull it out of, like, we don't cook with any of those. Those are not an option for cooking. We use all healthy fats, which I will go over in a minute, for cooking. But we do not use canola oil for cooking. We do not use vegetable oil in any of our bacon goods. And really, when you go back to the history behind like why they started promoting vegetable oil, what happened was when electricity became a common thing in households, the candle company, which I believe was Procter & Gamble, but I'm not 100% certain, but the candle company had all this cottonseed oil, which is another vegetable oil, that they were using for candles, and now the consumers didn't need it. And so they looked at it and they were like, well, let's just call it edible and say it's the next healthy fat. And so they created this marketing ploy against saturated fats and against animal fats so that they could use their highly processed oil somewhere and make money off of it. And that's really like all this no fat, fat-free, no saturated fat, no animal fat has all come from marketing. It's all come from companies who want to make money on their product that isn't actually very good for human consumption. So it's one of those things that, like everything else in nutrition, or so it feels, it's just there's so much marketing that you have to be so careful, and it's it's always worth doing your research or asking the question. But yeah, so that's how all the vegetable fats got in there. And they did the marketing to actually young moms because they wanted the next generation to be raised on vegetable oil. So it was vegetable oil, Crisco, margarine, all those were, it was just marketing, and their goal was just to create a product that they could make money off of, because they weren't making a lot of money off of the animal-based fats. That wasn't their market. They were a candle company. So anyway, I don't know if you find that interesting. Yeah, that's fine. So I always find that fascinating. I think it's helpful. It's, it comes down to the question of who makes money off of this. And that's kind of where that vegetable oil came from. So needless to say, when I say bad fats, I'm talking about obviously hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated oils, but I'm also talking about vegetable oils.